Chevrolet is developing a reputation for some very good, very inexpensive cars. Take this Aveo. Solidly built and attractively styled, it's a Super Mini that might surprise you. Now Chevrolet knows a thing or two about Super Minis. Its first generation Aveo was, after all, one of North America's best-selling cars. We knew that vehicle as the Kalos, but now it too bears the Aveo name and carries with it high UK dealer hopes that some of the American magic would have rubbed off with the change of badge. Of course, this car won't be challenging the UK market leaders in terms of sales, but it should generate a useful market niche for Chevrolet for those in search of a smart, sassy-looking Super Mini offered at a lower price than most of its rivals. The driving position should feel very familiar to anyone who's owned a Daewoo or Chevrolet Kalos in the past, which should help dealers in getting customers to trade up. The ride and handling are much the same too, and the steering's still very light, aimed at shoppers rather than enthusiasts. The 1.2 litre petrol engine will get from rest to 60 in 12.7 seconds on the way to a top speed of 108 miles an hour. The 1.4 litre petrol is usefully quicker, getting to 60 in 11 seconds on the way to 110 miles an hour. And it's the 1.4 that I'm driving here. It's actually quite a complex engine with 4 valves per cylinder and a system that Chevrolet called DCVP, double continuous variable cam phase. Now, what you need to know is that gives you extra torque at low speeds, so you don't have to row the thing along with the gear lever in the town, and extra speed at higher revs. Now, visibility out of the Aveo is very good, although larger drivers may find that the dashboard moulding intrudes on legroom a little. Both the engines, they're good units, but I think the added refinement on the motorway of the 1.4 litre unit would probably swing it for us. The old Kalos was a pretty good looking car, and its successor continues that theme, though it has a notably sharper looking front end, with these sculpted, upswept front headlamps and this enormous double grille punctuated by a serious Chevy cross logo at the front. It's got about twice as much attitude as any small car you could care to mention. Now, I've got the 5-door model here, but I reckon the 3-door version is even nicer looking, with the flanks sculpted to incorporate these pronounced flared rear wheel arches leading back to the neatly designed rear light clusters. It's nothing like as exciting inside, but then this is a car that sits at the affordable end of the Super Mini sector. Now, Chevrolet has specified and trimmed the interior wisely, giving it a sensible equipment count with nice features like these fold-out back seat tables. You also get fairly decent trim and materials, and as much space and versatility as the design constraints will allow. It's not the roomiest car in the sector, but the compact torsion beam rear suspension does free up a lot of backseat space that you wouldn't otherwise expect to have. Prices start at around £8,000, enabling Chevrolet to undercut many of their mainstream rivals. Now, there's a choice of 2 engines, 3 and 5-door body styles, and a pretty decent level of standard equipment. Lots of equipment for a fair price is part of Chevrolet's marketing philosophy, and the entry-level Aveo adheres to this with driver and passenger airbags, an MP3 compatible stereo, and an intermittent facility for the wipers. Plusher models, well, they get tinted glass in front and rear electric windows. Options include 15-inch alloy wheels, an onboard computer, leather trim for the steering wheel and gear knob, and automatic climate control. Now, the Aveo campaigns on the basis of solid value for money, so it would be no surprise to hear that running costs, well, they're tightly screwed down. It might be a slight surprise to hear that there's no diesel option, given that the GM Group has some great diesels at its disposal. But I think it would be tough to make the additional premium of diesel worthwhile to the typically hard-headed, low-mileage Aveo customer. And in any case, the petrol models are pretty frugal. The 1.2, it manages 51.7 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and puts out no more than 132 grams per kilometre of CO2. While the 1.4, well, it manages 44.4 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and puts out 142 grams per kilometre of CO2. True, the Aveo is an evolutionary rather than revolutionary car, But if evolution equates to affordability, then many budget-minded super mini buyers will happily take it. As a compromise between ability, budget and badge equity, this Chevrolet more than makes a case for itself. Sure, there are more cutting-edge super minis you can buy, though none that look smarter, but they all cost substantially more. Wouldn't it make more sense to buy an Aveo, enjoy the envious glances and spend the difference on something more practical like an extra second-hand runabout for the family perhaps? I know which I'd rather.